Hey everybody, it's Merkel, and today in this one I'm going to be going over some of the things discussed in the Q&A that was just a couple days ago, and how the changes are going to affect us for Battle for Azeroth, right? These are the upcoming changes. Some of them are pretty interesting, to say the least, but anyways, let's just get into it. So the first thing to discuss, once again, are the Zandalari trolls. Everyone seems pretty upset because these trolls haven't been confirmed to be paladins yet, although the way it was discussed in the Q&A, Ian announced that it was maybe a possibility that this will happen. But honestly though, I know my opinion might be the unpopular one, but I think it's fine that they can't be. The Zandalari trolls are already getting really unique appearances for their druid forms. They have unique shaman totems, and if they added paladin class, they'd also have to top it off with a unique paladin mount. And I mean, what kind of mount? It's going to be like a golden, a raptor or something, a glowy raptor. I don't know what they would even use as a paladin mount for a Zandalari troll. And that's quite a lot of effort being put into just a single race. Not that they don't have the time for that effort. Rather, it would be a little more unfair to the other allied races that don't have nearly as much customization being put into this one race. Know what I'm saying? All that aside though, I have to agree with one thing. It doesn't make a lot of sense as to why they can't be a paladin. The lore they have used to explain the reasoning is very weak at best, and the fact that Zandalari trolls can be priests kind of negates the lore as well. Because, both of them harness the light. So what's wrong with being a paladin? Overall, the amount of rage, though, that I've read about this, it's very, very fun to read. Honestly, I think it's interesting to see the heated debates that people get into about this stuff. It's interesting reads. I do enjoy it. Anyways, another big change, we're heading into Battle for Azeroth, is the gear changes. A lot of you know we're getting a big stat squish, which I'm all for. I don't like when the numbers get out of hand. It's gotten a little outrageous in Legion, so I'm glad we're going back to more modest numbers. But along with the stat squish, they're aiming to make secondaries a lot less important. So item level is going to be back to being basically the king, and that way, when you get an item level upgrade, you know it's an upgrade, right? You know how funny it was getting a trinket and not being able to replace it until Tomb of Sargeras. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Arcane of Crystal. And to top it off, that was only the level 865 item level version. I couldn't replace it. That one for so long. And if I could get a nice relinquished roll of it, I'm sure it's probably still useful even now if it's upgraded to a high item level. It's just so OP, that Arcane of Crystal, man. So, it's nice to know if you get a drop, most of the time it will be an upgrade when you see it. As long as the item level's higher, you can say, hey, this is better mostly. Time to bring back old gear score from Wrath of the Lich King, right? But honestly though, I would like an old feature to come back. And I'm being serious here, I would love if Reforging made it back. I really enjoyed Reforging. I thought it was great. It meant that even the most mild item level upgrade could almost always be guaranteed an upgrade. Simply because if the stats were bad, you could reforge it, make it better. And I loved Reforging. I don't know if it ever will come back, but I would like to see it if I had the option. Next, just a quick little talk about artifacts. The upcoming expansion, our artifacts are going away, but they're not actually going away, right? There's so much confusion about what's going to happen to them, and it turns out sorta nothing, right? They will still be in your hands, and they aren't vanishing by any means. The only thing that will happen is all of the artifact traits are going to get grayed out, and it will be a stat stick pretty much. It'll be just a weapon with its stats, nothing other than that. And from that point on, until you get a better green shovel that you looted off a random boar in Battle for Azeroth, you're going to be able to keep it. So if you were sad about losing your artifact, by the sounds of it, you're always going to keep it no matter what, and you can keep it in that special little bank space of the last tab in that backpack slot, right? Wherever you want to put it, it seems like you're going to be able to keep it. Pretty good. Something else that I find real good and important is the mission table. As discussed before, we're going to have a mission table in Battle for Azeroth, and I think at this point they pretty much will always have some iteration of the mission table, as it is one of the main reasons to use the app. But on top of that, people are so accustomed to the mission table by this point, I think they're always just going to have some form of it. However, I don't think the mission table is necessarily a bad thing. I just dislike when it's a requirement to progress content. You know what I'm talking about, how you had to wait days before you could continue the story and junk just because you were waiting for one silly mission to return. Well, that won't be an issue in the upcoming expansion. The table will exist, and it's going to provide you with probably similar stuff to what you currently get, but in no way will it be used to gate any content this time around. At least that's what they've stated, so hopefully that's true. It won't be a gate to anything. And lastly, and what I believe to probably be one of the strangest decisions that I feel will get reverted, right? I don't think this is going to stay, but hey, I don't know. I could be wrong. So, you know how we have forced personal loot in 7.3.5? They added it, and pretty much all previous content is forced personal loot. Well, yeah, they're going to do that for everything now. They're carrying it through that philosophy into every aspect of the game, including raiding, all that good stuff. That means no more master loot raiding. And I was trying to read into why they want to do this. And for one, I heard that it was to stop split raids, which if you don't know what a split raid is, it means really progressive guilds. I'm talking like top 50s, maybe even the top 100 guilds worldwide decide to do this. But what they do is they'll take pretty much a portion of their main group, right? They have their main raid, and then they have an alt raid, and they merge them together, and then they'll run content so they can take all of the gear from Master Looter and give it to their mains. That way they have better gear for progression. I don't see what's wrong with that. If they want to play like that, then why shouldn't they be allowed to? That's some serious way to play, but if they want to, hey, why not? But anyways, that's at least what I read. That it's why it was being done. It was to combat people doing that. However, if anything, forced personal loot will make it more of a problem. I wouldn't be surprised if those really high tier guilds decide to do specialization runs, basically, where they do the raid with almost entirely cloth users or leather users. Personal loot dictates they're guaranteed to get some pieces of loot, right? They have to. Doesn't that just make it easier for them to gear out faster? Or am I missing something? I just don't understand. Did I miss something? Like, to me, that sounds like it would just encourage this more. Explain down below your ideas. Maybe I'm getting this wrong. I don't know. Anyways, another reason I've heard this is possible is just so everyone can enjoy the game, right? Because when you're raiding, your main goal is to get better gear. That's your plan, right? Go in, do a raid, gear up, boom. You're playing enjoyably, I guess is how you would put it. That means the one guy, though, who joins as a trial, he joins a new guild, he's a trial member, he can get loot even though he's a trial. Because, you know, in a lot of cases, if you just applied to a guild and you just started, they're not going to give you loot because you're a trial. That's why I read that they wanted to do this again. Everybody can join any guild and get loot. It sounds so ridiculous, but these are the things that I've read, and I just don't get it. That doesn't make any sense. If you're a progressive guild, raid loot is distributed based on utility. How is it going to be most useful to progress the raid? Back when I was raiding really hardcore, really long time ago, in the old days as a healer, there were times I'd go weeks without getting any pieces of loot because it was better to give it to a DPS DPS being more important in a lot of cases than tanks or healers, because the higher your DPS, the faster the boss dies. And DPS, in a lot of cases, can be like a check on a boss. You have to have a certain amount of DPS to kill it efficiently, so it was more important to give that role all the gear, simply because it helped better. So I understand why Master Loot existed, and I guess I just don't see where Blizzard is coming from. I can't see in what mind they say this is what we should do. Master Loot is like so iconic to WoW. I don't get it. But that's just me. Maybe I don't know. Explain down below what you think this is about, or why you think they would do it. I just don't get it. That's all I can say. I don't understand it. Of all the changes they've ever made, this one confuses me the most. They say it's simply because there's no tier pieces, but I can't think it's that simple. Like, that's such a ridiculous reason to force personal loot. I know that tier pieces are one of the harder things to trade on personal loot, because personal loot says if the tier piece is a higher item level, it's not going to let you trade it. I'm pretty sure that's how it currently works, and it can let you trade any other piece. I still don't get it though. It sounds stupid. Anyways, as always, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you will leave your comments down below. Again, force personal loot. I think this is the most important thing to discuss. I don't understand it. But I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you again very soon. Bye-bye.